Hello YouTube, it is your boy GZTV back with another video, and in this video we are going to be talking about Ozark. So this is the first of two videos today. The other, I think we're going to be doing some, I'm sorry about my pimples and shit, I gotta get that fixed. And my lips literally swelling, you can see it's like kind of going in my face a little bit, but we gotta talk about this, obviously, and then we are going to be making an edited video of all the NBA off-season action, because as you guys know, the preseason started. Someone recommended actually me to make a video about, the trades that happened in the offseason, like the Bradley Beal stuff, Drew Holiday, Porzingis, Damian Lillard, obviously. So we're going to get into some of that stuff right after this video. I think I'm going to start kind of recording my thoughts. Yeah, you guys will probably get that like a little bit in the afternoon. But here, we're talking about Ozark. It's all apologies here, so... The season premiere of Ozark introduced the concept of the wild card into the system of the show, and the follow-up drops a pair of them on the Bird family. So we just continue to get more wild cards, more people that are just kind of out there, The major one is in the form of Wendy Bird's brother, Ben Davis, played by Tom Pelphrey, which is kind of an interesting, unexpected little thing that this show did. A sibling of one of the Birds, Really interesting stuff. But it feels likely that Helen's daughter, Erin, played by Madison Thompson, is going to be a problem too. You kind of hear her attitude throughout the episode. It's like, well, shit, she might be up to something. Not only is she a vulnerability for Helen, but who now lives in the Ozarks, but the fact that her first expressed desire is to lose her virginity this summer feels like a recipe for disaster. I mean, this girl has some interesting desires, very interesting social construct. Yeah. Marty likes to create spreadsheets of risk assessment, and Ben and Erin are new columns for him to consider, even though, I don't even know if he really gives a fuck about either characters, but he's going to need to soon. Before then, he has to deal with the fact that his wife won't take no for an answer. Not from him, and certainly not from the couple who owns the casino she's intent on buying. Wendy's arc this episode is fascinating, as she goes from business tactics to intimidation ones in the blink of an eye. It's really interesting how she kind of flips the switch when she doesn't start to kind of get her way, She's an amazing politician, willing to play along with the system on a legal level for as long as she can, but also completely unwilling to lose. She cannot accept failure. And honestly, the Birds can't really, in general, I don't think they can accept failure. I think that's a pretty fair thing to say about this family, And she's starting to realize that Marty is not helping her cause. How will she possibly continue to build her empire when her husband keeps knocking down the structures she's putting in place? Let's start there. One of the best scenes of this episode is when Helen first arrives in the Ozarks and she talks to Wendy about her disintegrating marriage, which the audience really wasn't that aware of. She didn't really talk about this all that often. And it's really interesting to see kind of what's happening in the background with Helen, her family life. She's kind of struggling with her husband to have custody of her kids. Her husband probably did the right thing in fucking leaving her, since, she did this whole cartel thing, and she represented a bunch of felony people, a bunch of just high standard criminals, I guess. Is Helen's disastrous and eventually violent divorce a sign of the future of the Birds? Those two are both kind of involved in this same type of business, When she tells Wendy that the only way to keep a couple together is to form a foundation of mutually assured destruction, it almost looks like Wendy likes the idea. You have to agree to kind of go down together and agree when it's time to stop, I guess. I don't know. It's a really fucked up way to think, but it's kind of like the reality of being involved in this lifestyle. You kind of chose to be this way. Excuse me. She needs to find a way to keep Marty from foiling her plans or risk the thing that matters most to him, his safety. Safety is a greater concern with someone like Ben around. And one of the best character introductions in a long time. We say that Ben is a little unstable. He's a little weird individual. He is kind of fucked up in the head. He needs help for sure. He needs some counseling. He needs someone to support him. In his role as a substitute teacher, he snaps after a class of snotty teens cyberbully someone, and he takes all their phones, throwing them into a wood chipper, and then beating up the guy who tries to stop him. He's doing the construction and all that, the one of the maintenance guys. But yeah, cyberbullying is not cool, and I like how he took action, but the dude threw a bunch of kids' phones at a wood chipper. I don't know. He may have a charming accent, but he's going to be trouble, and that kind of signifies that. That kind of foreshadows. Sorry, I said the same thing twice. You don't get a character introduction like that if you're someone who represents smooth sailing for the rest of the characters. Before Ben gets to the Ozarks, Marty closes the loop on the drama from last episode, convincing Frank Cosgrove to not only keep his son from killing Ruth, but also keep her untouchable. She can't be fired from the business. She can't be attacked by anyone. She's really important to Marty, and he's willing to really protect her and go to great lengths to do that. It's going to cost Marty more money, but that's how much Ruth is worth to him, and it's really interesting to see, their relationship kind of evolve and realize that Ruth actually is something important. I mean, even when money's involved, Marty's like, yeah, you cannot touch this girl. She's super important to our business. As if Marty doesn't have enough to worry about, Wendy is insistent on buying a hotel/casino to expand their laundering empire, which is the last thing they need with the feds on their asses. As Marty taps her phone because he doesn't trust her, she keeps pushing forward. Marty is there for the first meeting, but he basically talks the husband owner out of doing it. He's trying to finesse. He's like, no, we cannot do this. We can't buy another casino. The feds are going to tap that. We're going to make one wrong move, and we're going to be screwed. Marty is a very safe person, and I like that approach, obviously. But, yeah. Wendy isn't dumb enough to bring Marty to the second meeting, taking Helen instead. They convince the couple to sell, offering way overvalue, 20% overvalue, which is kind of insane. But this just means that Marty has to play even rougher. What?